Hey guys, it's me again, it's Sharna. Welcome back to part 4 of our Hearts and Flowers Crochet Along. Can you believe it? We're halfway through our blanket. Amazing. You guys, last week you smashed out those flowers. I can't believe the pictures on our Facebook and Instagram accounts. They're just so beautiful. I hope you enjoyed them as much as I did. This week we're going to learn a new stitch. We're going back from working in the round. We're not going to be working in the round this week. We're going to be working in rows, and we're going to be making some adorable little heart stitches like these ones here. I'm going to be introducing a new stitch to you, the cluster stitch. So again, make sure you're referring to your video tutorials and your written pattern, because we've got some lovely color changes in there. So guys, let's grab our hook and let's get started. Okay, so this week we're going to work our cute little heart stitches. So I've got my sample here to show you, but you will have your strip of 6 sunshine squares. I've just got the 2 here to show you how to make the stitch. So we're going to set our rows up so we can work a little heart stitch. So again, we're going to be working a row of triples into this very first stitch here. Now, we've all done the triple stitch a lot over the last few weeks, so I suspect a lot of you are experts now in the triple stitch. Again, we start with our chain free stitch, which counts as our first triple into that first stitch at the top. And then we're going to do a triple into the next stitch. I'll show you one more time how to do a triple. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And we're going to continue crocheting 1 triple stitch in each stitch until we get to the end of our row. Okay, so I'm just getting to the end of my row with my triple stitches. Just got 2 more triple stitches to make, and then we'll talk about the next stitch. So 1 triple in that last stitch to finish my row. Okay, so we now have a lovely row of triple stitches in the lovely cream colour. Like I said, we are setting up our row so we can work our little heart stitches. Now we need to do a row of DC stitches. So to do this, there's 2 ways to do this. If you want, you can turn your work. So you can chain 1, which doesn't count as a stitch, that's just your turning chain. And you can turn your work to the wrong side, and then straight away you can start working your DC into the first stitch. 1 DC in every stitch until the end of your row. Or like me, I'm just going to wind that back, go back to that, row of triples. Now I've pulled some stitches, do excuse me. Like me, I like to have a nice crisp, sharp line of DCs, and I like to have it facing me, because I find that it just looks neater when you work your heart stitches into the DC stitches. So I'm going to cut my yarn like I've just done here with the right side facing. I'm going to work into that chain free at the top. I'm going to start my row with a chain 1, and I'm going to DC into the same stitch, and that's my first DC stitch. And now I'm going to do 1 DC stitch in every stitch to the end of the row, and then you're going to fasten off. So let's just go over a DC stitch again. So we're going to insert our hook into the next stitch like so, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through those 2 loops. We're going to do the same 1 DC stitch in every stitch to the end of the row like this. So I will see you in a little while when we get to the end of the row. Okay, so I'm just getting to the end of my double crochet row here. So I've just got my last 2 stitches. There we go. So when you get to the end of your row, we're going to fasten off just to secure the row. So I just grab my little scissors and just pull that through the loop just to secure it. Okay, so now we have finished our row of double crochet stitches and our row of triple crochet stitches here at the bottom. We're now going to start working on our little heart stitches. So grab your rustic pink yarn here, like I am. We're going to start our first little heart stitch in our first stitch, our very first stitch on the DC row here. So you're going to wiggle, insert your hook through those 2 loops, yarn over and pull up your yarn. We're going to start this row with a chain 2, which is the starting stitch of our cluster stitch. So we're going to learn a new stitch on this row. We're going to learn the cluster stitch. So I'm going to do a demonstration now. This is our first cluster stitch, which is forming the first half of a heart stitch. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, yarn over, and we now have 3 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over, pull through 2 loops. We now have 2 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over, insert our hook back into that very first stitch. Yarn over, pull up a loop. We now have 1, 2, 3, 4 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over, pull through 2 loops. We now are left with 1, 2, 3 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. That's your first cluster stitch made. We're only working 1 cluster stitch into this first stitch, but when we get round to doing the next cluster stitch, we'll be working 2 cluster stitches, but I'll show you how to do that. So now we're going to do a chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we've just made our chain 5 and now we need to skip 5 stitches. So I'm going to skip 5 stitches so we can count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to work into this top stitch here, the next stitch after the skipped 5 stitches. So you're going to yarn over, insert your hook and pull up a loop. We're now making another cluster stitch. So we're going to yarn over, pull through 2 loops. You now have 2 loops on your hook. We're going to yarn over, insert our hook back into that stitch, pull up a loop. You now have 4 loops on your hook. We're going to yarn over, pull through those first 2 loops. You now have 3 loops on your hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through those last 3 loops, like that. And that's your first cluster stitch of your first little heart. So now we're going to do a chain 2, 1, 2, and we're going to make another cluster stitch back into that space. So again, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into that space, pull up a loop. We're going to yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Now we're going to yarn over, insert our hook back into that first stitch, pull up a loop. So we have our 4 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through those last 3 loops. And now we have made our first little heart stitch. So we're going to repeat this pattern all the way to the end of our row. So again, we're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, we're going to skip 5 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to work into this bit, this stitch here, into the next stitch. We're going to yarn over, insert our hook into that stitch, pull up a loop. You've got your 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and you're left with 2 loops on your hook. We're going to yarn over, insert our hook back into that stitch, pull up a loop. We have 4 loops on our hook. So we're going to yarn over, pull through those 2 loops, yarn over, pull through those last 3 loops. Now we're going to do a chain 2, 1, 2, and we're going to make another cluster stitch into that very same stitch. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, insert our hook back into that same stitch, pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through those last 3 loops. And again, we're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to skip 5 stitches and continue and repeat the same process for making our little heart stitches along the row until you get to the end. So I'll see you back here in a minute. Okay, so you should have a row that looks similar to mine with our chain 5s and our little heart stitches. There we go, isn't that cute? So now we're going to work into the last stitch of our row. So again, we're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You should have 5 stitches remaining. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, 6 stitches remaining. You're going to skip 5 stitches and you're going to work 1 cluster stitch into the very last stitch. So if you want to do that with me, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, insert our hook back into that stitch again, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through those last 3 loops. And then we're going to fasten off. So I'm just going to cut my yarn, pull my tail through just to secure. Okay, so now you should have a lovely row of cute little heart stitches like me. Obviously your row is going to be much longer, so make sure you keep referring back to your written pattern as well as watching the video tutorials. So now we're going to grab our cream yarn again, and we're going to insert our hook into our very first cluster here, like so, and we're going to chain 1, just so we can join our yarn to the row. And we're going to do a DC into the same stitch, a double crochet into that same stitch, like so. So make sure you're following along with me because this row can be a little bit tricky. So now we're going to chain 1 like so. Now we're going to work in half triple crochet stitches. So on our row here, we're going to work into these skip stitches. So we're going to, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 skip stitches underneath this row of little heart stitches. And you are going to do a half triple crochet into the skipped second, third and fourth stitch. So this is your first stitch, this is your second stitch, this is where we're going to start here. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through those 3 loops on your hook. That's our first half triple crochet stitch. We're going to do the same again into the stitch next to it. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, pull up a loop. We now have our 3 loops on our stitch. We're going to yarn over, pull through all 3 loops like so. And we're going to do the same again into the next stitch. Yarn over, insert our hook, pull up a loop, 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 of those stitches. So if you can see what we've done there, we've worked a half triple crochet into the second, third and fourth skip stitches from the previous row, like so. Now we're going to do a chain 2. So chain 1, chain 2. We're going to work a double crochet into the chain 2 space between our 2 heart clusters here. So insert your hook, pull up a loop, like so. And now we're going to chain 2 again. 1, 2, chain. And now we're going to work our half triple crochets, the same as we did before here, into our second, third and fourth skip stitches from the previous row. So we're going to yarn over, find our stitch that we're going to work into. So not this one, not this first one, but the second one here. So yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, 3 loops on our hook and pull all 3 loops through like so. I'm going to do the same again in the next stitch. And the same again. Like so. So we're going to chain 2, 1, and 2 chain, and then we're going to do a double crochet into the chain 2 between our 2 cluster stitches here. So 1 double crochet, then we're going to do a chain 2, 1, 2, and then we're going to work our half triple crochets into those skip stitches like before. So the second, third and fourth skip stitches from the previous row. Hopefully you've got the hang of it, and I'll see you back at the end of the row. So just remember, you can watch this part as many times as you need to. Just keep rewinding the video back until you get the hang of it. Okay, so I'm just coming to the end of my row, so I'm just going to chain 2 and do my half triple crochet stitches into those skip stitches, like so. It just gets a bit fiddly at the end of the row. 1, 2, 3. And then to finish your row, you're just going to do a 1 chain stitch and a double crochet into that last cluster stitch, like so. Okay, so we have now got another row successfully completed. So now we're going to go into our next row. This time we're going to turn our work, and we'll be working from the back of our blanket. So I'm going to chain 2 at the end of this row, which counts as our first triple stitch for the following row. The reason I'm chaining 2 now here is because when we turn it, I think it just gives a neat finish along the edge of our work. So there's my chain 2. I'm going to turn my work, and that chain 2 you can see there counts as my first triple stitch on this new row. So this row we are going to be working in triple stitches again until we reach the end of our row. So let's begin. So we're going to make 1 triple stitch into that chain 1 stitch from our previous row. That's our first triple stitch. Now we're going to work 1 triple stitch into the half triple crochet stitches from the previous row, which are here. So we're going to insert our hook into the first stitch here, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull over 2 loops, yarn over, pull over those last 2 hoops. I'm going to make another triple stitch. And another. And now in this chain 2 space, you're going to make 1 triple stitch. In the DC on top of your cluster here, you're going to make 1 triple stitch into that space. We're going to make 1 triple stitch into the next chain 2 space. And so on, we're going to make 1 triple into each of those 3 stitches from the previous row. 1, 2, 3, and then a triple stitch into that chain 2 space, a triple stitch into the top of our cluster here, and a triple stitch into that chain 2 space. So hopefully you can see the pattern here. So in all our chain 2 spaces, we're making a 1 triple stitch, and then in our previous stitches, in the half triple crochet stitches from the previous row, we're making a triple stitch into the top of them. So you keep following this pattern until you get to the end of the row. I shall see you in a little while. Okay, so I'm just getting to the end of my row. I've got my triple into my chain 2 space there. So I'm just continuing with my triple stitches. Don't forget to rewind the video if you get stuck at any point. Rewatch this video back as many times as you want until you get the hang of this. And don't forget to refer back to your written pattern as well. So let's just do a triple stitch into that last DC of the row. Now we're going to fasten off. pull up a loop, and let's turn our work back over. And here you'll see that you have got your lovely heart stitches forming here, like mine. Okay, so now you have completed your row of little heart stitches. You will continue crocheting your heart stitches, repeating rows 2 till 5 until you have finished that panel, and then you will repeat the same again on your other row of your 3D granny squares. So that's week 4. I know this week can be a little bit tricky, but once you get the hang of it, you're going to love it. And this is our last week of working in 2 separate panels. Next week, we're going to make our center part, which will really bring the blanket together. So I'm really excited for week 5. Guys, carry on sharing all your progress over on our Facebook and Instagram accounts, because I love popping over to see, and I'll see you back here soon for week 5.